All right, we have arrived at version 17. The first thing I'd like to show you is that the MDI background image feature has been enhanced so that now you can associate an MDI image with each firm that you're using in your application. And it will dynamically switch. So if I click here to change companies, then I immediately get a different MDI background. So it's a great visual for multi-company environments. And you just saw me use another enhancement from version 17, and that is the addition of some handy new buttons in the MDI toolbar. This ability to quickly change companies is one of them. Another is this always accessible launch for Espresso search. We'll see more about Espresso here in a little bit. And we also have a new button here that lets you adjust the zoom rate so that you can increase form size, font size across everything in the MDI. Let's see how that looks. We can see that the 100% here is grayed out. We'll go to 125, and to get that to take effect, we do need to hop out and back in. And when we do, boom, we can see that the font is bigger. The MDI itself, of course, has come up larger. If we launch our familiar customer form, we can see how much larger that looks as well. And we'll go back to our original 100% setting here. Here's another example of an enhancement that originated from the developer community and was driven back into Barista. Version 17 includes a payroll module, and here in the payroll entry form, we can see that we have a multi-tabbed form. And if we take a look at these, we can see that every tab has its own grid. Now, Barista has allowed a grid on a form since the beginning. You've seen an example of a header detail form, but this is the first version where you could set a grid on each tab. So that's quite a nice enhancement. There's been some improvements on the Lucene front as well. Here in our customer inquiry, we have a new button that we haven't had before, and this lets us launch a Lucene query builder that helps us to construct more sophisticated searches. For example, in the case of our customer table, I might be looking for a customer whose name contained the word cycle, but I knew it wasn't bicycle. So I can see the sort of search string that it's going to put together for me. And sure enough, given that search criteria, I find Valley Cycle Stores. If we clear this, you can see that it left out then Hillsboro Bicycle Center. So I could have typed that search text directly in the box, assuming I remembered how to do it. But if you don't, that's what this Lucene Query Builder tool is for. I said we'd talk a bit more about Espresso, and I'd like to go there now. Espresso has undergone quite an overhaul for this newer version. It's been improved in several ways. It used to be its own separate inquiry program, and now it's been fully integrated into Barista's main query program. So, of course, that means it now has the ability to sort and search and filter, select your inquiry columns, export, multi-column sorting, all of those things that the regular queries can do. But in Espresso, the search definitions themselves have been enhanced so that rather than just giving the name of a table so that Barista does a simple select on a single table, the search definitions can now call custom queries. So, as with regular queries, that adds a lot of power because, as we saw a few versions back, a custom query can use drill downs, letting you add your own hyperlinks. So now Espresso has all of that capability as well. In addition, and these last couple aren't actually just Espresso enhancements, but query enhancements in general, the context menu now provides a way to switch from one query to another. A good use case for this is in these top-level searches for add-ons Espresso for customers, inventory, or vendors. If I want to locate a customer, I start with this query on the customer table. But it might be that I want to locate a customer using an order or an invoice number. So if this initial customer query doesn't get me what I want, I can right-click and look for customers by order or invoice number. That's going to switch me to a different query, still giving me the customer information, but pulling from my order and invoice table so that if that's what I have, an order or invoice number, I can still use that to locate a customer. With another right click, I can toggle that back to show the initial customer query again. Finally, you now have the ability to specify a filter that should be used by default when launching a query for the first time. In add-on, we have the ability to mark customers or vendors or items as inactive. Well, if I'm going to query the customer table, I'm typically only interested in active customers. So I can set active as the default filter that should be invoked the first time this query is launched. The user can change the filtering once the query is up, of course, but you can imagine how being able to specify a default filter in this way can improve performance on that first launch. Another nice addition in this version is the ability now with a multi-line edit field to designate it as comment text or HTML text. And we've used that in several places throughout the application. So this is a barista enhancement that we're able to make use of. So here on the Customer Master, for example, we now have a new tab called Comments, and in it we get this multi-line edit control. You can see here with the little red underline that we've set it to be a spell check control, so that's handy as well. So I have the capability to type directly here in the multi-line edit if I'd like, but if I use the magnifying glass or Control F for a keyboard shortcut, I can also pop a separate little comment editor. So I can embed new lines in here, and those will be preserved, tab characters as well. And if it's an HTML edit, I would have an additional toolbar here where I can change to different fonts, bold, italics, colors, and so on, which is great if these comments are going to appear on customer-facing documents.